You know, you have one guy over there.
Hmm?
All right, yeah, get him the hell out of here, will you, please?
Me?
Get him out of here. Throw him out.
Just hanging around?
Get him the hell out of here. Get him out of here. Get out. Get him out of here. And you'll read about him tomorrow.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Grifters are obviously trying to cash in on the Epstein story and it going national. And this is a major problem for me. And it's making the lines between what is true and what is not so blurred. And it's become so politicized. It's become such a political weapon against President Trump and against some of the people in his administration that it's really hard to cover, you know, in good faith these days, because you just don't know what's an op anymore. And so, the best that we can do is just go from first person pieces of breaking news with primary documents, primary sourcing, and talk through, you know, what is going on. And when we saw this clip of Howard Lutnick, this is somebody who's high up commerce in the President Trump's administration. This is somebody who famously was neighbors with Jeffrey Epstein. And, you know, everyone was like, well, Trump's got a commerce secretary who's neighbors with Epstein, you know what I mean? Right? And, you know, you shouldn't trust Lutnick. Well, what does he have to say for himself? Was he like a guest at all these parties? Was he there this is, of course, in the New York townhouse, the biggest house in New York that was owned mysteriously by the State Department, leased to Epstein, and all this stuff. It's, you know, of course, the whole thing. Of course, the guy was an op. The whole thing was an op. Anyway, Howard Lutnick has finally come out on the record to talk about what his neighborly relationship was with Jeffrey Epstein. And it turns out that, according to Howard Lutnick, Jeffrey Epstein offered him and his wife sexual massages when they entered his home. And then they left, and they fled his house and never came back. This is a very interesting story. I guess it seems on brand. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Howard Lutnick explaining to Miranda Devine on her new podcast what Jeffrey Epstein's house visit was like. Let's go.
Secretary Howard Lutnick, thank you for joining Podforce One. You're a New Yorker. You have known Donald Trump for 30 years. You know everybody. Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, Jeffrey Epstein was your neighbor. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about him. East 71st Street. He was your neighbor for 10 years. How well did you know him?
All right. So we are in number 11 and he lives in number 9.
Right.
So, we renovate, we buy our house, and our house is pigeons and mice.
Right.
Okay. It was derelict.
Right.
So we rebuild our house. We move in 2005. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in 08, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. So my wife and I go next door. You know, we walk the 7 steps,
yes,
right, to the next house for coffee. We share a wall.
Right.
So it's in New York City. So he invites us in. We have coffee in this, and he says, do you want a tour? We said, great.
Interesting.
He's got a really big house.
Every room you went into?
He's got, well, I'll tell you. So his house is super big, really wide. And, so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room. And then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the doors and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Really?
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
Oh.
And so I look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift
Yes.
of avoid. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
So
that's
he
my
was-
story. A one and absolutely done.
Right. So, I mean, that's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. I mean, right with my wife. And like, he's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnick. This guy's gross.
Right.
So yeah, that's fascinating story. But what about the contention that the Trump administration has that Jeffrey Epstein didn't blackmail anyone and was just kind of like on the up and ups? He just, hey, there's no indication that he blackmailed. Well, this is where it gets very interesting because Howard Lutnick straight up says that's BS. That's not true. We know that he blackmailed people, and we know that some people were in on it. Like he says, Bill Gates, for instance. And that's a fascinating deviation from what the Trump administration has said thus far. And so take this clip at face value, but this is Howard Lutnick. He was neighbors with the guy. Is he going to know more than most? Yeah. And here he is saying, no, you don't understand. The whole thing was a massive blackmail operation. In sort of defiance of the Trump administration. Very interesting.
So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
No, they participated.
right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money.
So what happened to those videos? Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when
Mm-hmm.
they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender.
Mm.
How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade.
Mm.
So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this and shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story,
Right.
but
Oh,
my story that, I was one and done with the guy.
Yeah.
He knows that story, but that's it.
He
Nah.
would have been interested in that story.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just a story. It's just a one and done. That guy. Ugh.
And did Trump feel the same way about him?
I don't speak to him about
Yeah.
these these are just distractions.
Right.
The thing about the president is I'm doing the most important thing that I see. And then right after we do that, he does 10 other things that are as, if not more important, that are not my thing.
Right.
And you're like, wow. And he is great at it. And sometimes he lets me stay. So he lets me stay for the Joint Chiefs of Staff come in. And I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever.
Will we ever know the truth? I mean, I think everybody in their heart understands the truth. Is the federal government, have they destroyed the documents? Have they sold them all off? As Lutnick says, that's what he says. He says that they were all of the documents, all the videos, all the incriminating evidence was destroyed for a price. Everything for a price. And now the files are empty. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the comment section. I thought this interview was interesting.